Welcome. I've got a lot that I want to get through today. If it's your first time here, massive welcome to you. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the bell notification so that you can get notified every time I go live. If you are returning, thank you for your loyalty. Today's should be a good one. I've got a lot that I want to talk about. I want to take a big macro view of Bitcoin, and whilst we're kind of stuck in this little range, let's take a longer view of it and see if we can figure out what's going on. Now, before I get into that, I have put a poll. If you're joining from YouTube, I've put a poll in the comments to let me know for you to vote on whether you are bullish or bearish for the rest of September on Bitcoin. So if you haven't voted already, vote on that. I love to see the sentiment out there, and we'll dive into it a little bit deeper. So today what I want to go through is I want to start from the monthly, work our way down. I want to talk EMAs, MAs, Elliott waves, what else? Dominance, fibs, golden ratios. I want to talk about all of it, everything that we've been seeing or talking about lately in social media. So before I get into the actual charts, also if we have time at the end, I want to go through a couple of others, mainly being Solana. I want to take a look at. I haven't looked at it today, so that's I haven't looked at it in detail today. Let's look at that together. I want to look at excuse me. I want to look at ADA. I want to look at DOT, which is one of my favorites. And what else do I want to look at? Ethereum, of course. So we'll do that together. Hopefully we'll get through all this Bitcoin stuff and have some time. If you're just joining in, give me a comment, say hello so I can know that you're here, that you can hear me and everything's all good. We are just setting, the sun is just setting behind me, so it is super bright out there. So I've got the blinds down for now, but yeah, when it gets down a little bit more, I'll be able to open them up so we can see the beautiful view. And Sakura has not yet made an appearance, but I tell you what, she's hungry. This is dinner time, and I didn't feed her before this live stream, so I'm fairly certain she will come and pester us at some point. All right, so with all of that being said, now before I get into it, I want to remind you, in case you haven't been here before, that I am running a competition currently called the Crypto Case Competition, and I'll show that to you quickly here. Just a very quick reminder, back in, I think it was June or July when we were at those lows, I invested in 10 coins. I put $100 into each coin, so $1,000 total, and the idea of that is to give that away to you guys. So there will be 5 winners. Each winner will receive 2 coins at random. How do you join in to win? You simply have to be a subscriber of this channel, like the videos, leave comments, and you'll find in the description of every video, the very first link shows you the further details. So we have a free Discord as well. Jump in there, come be part of the community. I post the updates to how this portfolio is going over time. Currently, the portfolio, I looked just before this call, it is sitting at a total of, where did I write it down? $2,140. So 1,000 has turned into $2,140. So it's more than double, which is huge, and that is going away to you guys. So make sure you follow all of those rules in the first link of this video to be part of it. Considering we just had a massive dump and all of those coins are still in profit, that's pretty big. So pretty happy to see where we can go. We need to get to 5,000 subscribers on this channel. Once we get there, we can start giving away those coins. So I'm super excited to do that. Make sure you're sharing this video around, let people know about it. The faster we get to that 5,000, the faster we can give those coins away. I'm a bit quiet for some reason. I'll turn it up a little. Hopefully that's a little bit better. Okay. So before I get into the charts, I just wanted to take a look at a couple of things. So number one, let's have a look at this. So there's been a lot of talk about Bitcoin September being the worst month for September. And when we take a look at something like this, the reason that comes about is because when you're looking at this, overall view, you can see that the biggest months where we're in the red is September and also March. So they're known as the two months where, it's not great for Bitcoin. The thing I want to point out about this is, other than 2019, when we had 13% decline, and then 2014, the other areas that are red are a really small amount. We're looking, at 7.5, 5.5, 7.4, 1.76. So we're not talking a huge dump here. And I think the reason I wanted to point this out is because I don't want people to get carried away thinking that, we're going to have this huge September crash and, it'll be a time to pick up cheap Bitcoin and whatnot. Like, Bitcoin can move 7%, Bitcoin can move 13% in a day and still be bullish. So I think it's really important that we get some perspective here and take a look at this. Now, it makes sense to me why particularly March and September, aren't particularly bullish compared to other months. With that being so many contract expiries, so we've got the 1 month, the 3 month, and the 6 month contract expiries. You got to think all these people have been in contracts for that long. They have to take profits, right? So, what does that do? That brings the market down. So it's normal that we will have, these sorts of pullbacks in March and September. But, is this a crash down to 20K just because it's September? I don't think I'd be calling that yet, just based off this alone. So that's one thing I just want to point out. Is the other thing too is, we could move up 20% and then down 20%. We could, we could end up at break even. We could, we could go up before we pull back to end at a negative month, is what I'm trying to say. So, I wouldn't let this freak you out too much. At the end of the day, I'm just about to point that out, Bo. At the end of the day, we trade market structure and just trade what you're seeing on the chart. So the next thing I wanted to point out was the fear and greed index. So we're currently at 30. 30 is not extremely fearful. So that's not really anything to worry about. But, it is, it's something to take note of. Because if you look here, last week, only a week ago, that's 7 days, guys, we were at extreme greed, and even that 79 is not really that extreme for Bitcoin. It can go much higher, but we've gone from extreme greed to fear in 7 days. So, the thing is when the fear and greed index shows in the levels of fear, that's a buying opportunity. Probably not at 30, but if it's below 20, it's definitely a buying opportunity if you're a long-term believer in Bitcoin. So yeah, all this does at this point in time, considering we've sort of gone from 44 to 30 in a day, what it shows us is that everyone's sitting on their hands and no one's prepared to make a decision right now, right? And we'll talk about that when we get onto the charts a little bit more as well. And the next thing I wanted to show you was this, Plan B. So back here, this tweet here, he did in June. He said here, now I actually really love this stock to flow model. I think it's really good. But he was saying that his worst case scenario for 2021 is that in August, Bitcoin would close at 47K. Now, when we have a look at it, I'll have a look at a chart now. So at the end of August, which was here, you can see we closed at around 47K. So he was bang on. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to be right all the time, but his prediction for September is 43K. Now, again, that doesn't mean that from where we are now, I don't even know what the current price is, of 45,600. That doesn't mean we're going to go 45,600 to 43 and just end there. We could easily go 45,600, 38 up to 43. So it's just something to be aware of. We've got to expect these swings, but this is something that's kind of interesting to watch. However, look at his future predictions. So October looks very happy, November looks amazing, and December looks like we're going to have a great Christmas. So this is something worth following, I think, and it's just interesting to note. And so those are the main things that I wanted to point out. Now, with Bitcoin itself, before I get into the smaller time frames, I want to zoom out a lot, and let's just take a big look at this. So let's go out to the monthly. Now, my question for you is, if you didn't know what this was, if you didn't know what this coin was, and all you were to see was this pattern, what would you think? Would you be bullish or bearish on this right now? What is the first thing that you would do if you were to see a chart like this? So the first thing I would do is draw fibs on it. So from the top to the bottom, you can see here that this support here was at 50 fibs. That is technically still bullish, which with a price target of up here at the 27, which is $82,000, right? Now, this is a monthly, granted, so, and there's still half the month to go. So we can't really consider the current candle because it's not complete yet. However, that could create a lower high. There is a bearish scenario here, but that could have also been the bottom there. And this is just a fib level retracement that takes us to a next high. Another thing that could happen, which we don't have enough structure yet, but it's worth watching, is we could create somewhat of a symmetrical triangle and do this for the rest of the year, which would be extremely irritating, but it's possible. So we have to keep that in mind as well. It's probably not anything else I really want to look at on the monthly, but just to keep that in mind, that after this huge push, we did settle at the 50 fib level, which is still technically bullish. Now we're going to go down and have a look at the weekly. Now with the weekly, there's a couple of things I want to point out. Now, first thing is, let's have a look at both the bullish and bearish scenario without any indicators at all. So first of all, we made this high and then we retraced down to here. When you draw fibs on that, the high that we most recently rejected at was the golden pocket 65 fib level. So when you think about that, well, that's just natural. That's normal. Of course, people who are long from anywhere in here would have had fibs drawn and would be preparing to take profit at that level. Also, bears would just be ready to open shorts at that level. So it's very natural that we reject here and have some sort of a sell-off. What we need to wait and figure out now is, okay, is this the lower high that creates the bear market? Or are we drawing fibs the other way from the bottom to the top? And currently we're wicking off the 38 fib level, which is extremely bullish. So is this the change in market structure that we've been saying on all these candles here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We were waiting for that change in market structure. Is this it? So there's two ways to look at it right now. And the thing is when there's confusion, that's when you have to be patient and wait, because this is the time during this accumulation period that the whales take your money by you trying to guess and be ahead of the next wave. That's how they take your money. So this is the hardest part of trading, is sitting on your hands and doing nothing. So the bullish scenario, we'll do that fibs on the daily, because it's some key levels that I want to talk about. Now, the other little bit outrageous one to talk about would be, let's draw fibs from here. So this was the March low. I won't say the word of why that happened, but you know why that happened. When we draw fibs on that whole push there, we landed between the 50 and the 61.8. So was this the big push and this is just the pullback, which again is extremely bullish? However, the bigger question to ask is, well, hang on, could this potentially be wave 1 and wave 2 of an Elliott wave? If so, the targets on Bitcoin are massive. So far, that is playing out. So wave 1 and wave 2 meets the criteria for Elliott waves on a weekly time frame. When we go down to the daily, we can talk about this being potentially sub wave 1 of wave 3, and we'll talk about that. That would be hyper bullish. So people, if that were to happen, people who are calling 130K, plan B calling 135K by December, other people calling 100K, whatnot, by December, that's very possible. And that could be then the wave 3 top, potentially. I think it's wave 3. We can't mark it out yet. But that could take us to wave 3 top. Now, the other thing too is, one thing that I've not ever seen in Bitcoin's history is when we do have a parabolic bull market, there is always an initial high, which would be the 60K. Then there's a huge pullback. Then there's a parabolic high. So we don't have the parabolic high yet. But if you go back and check from basically the start of time, all of the Bitcoin's bull markets, that you usually find that there's never been a fifth wave, is my point. So I don't know if I would hang out for that. So those are some things to keep in mind. So far, we have no conclusions, but it's just important to, I don't think we can really call it right now. As much as I'm a raging bull and I always want, Bitcoin is always bullish with some amazing opportunities to buy, but we can't call it just yet. So now let's talk about, let's go to the daily. Actually, no, sorry. Let's stay on the weekly because I want to add in an EMA here, and I want to add in the 20-week only. So the 20-week EMA, as well as the 20 MA actually. So let's just change this one to 20 for now and look at them both. So this purple, whoops, where did it go? Yeah. So this purple line is the 20 moving average, and the red line is the 20 exponential moving average. The only difference is that the exponential moving average is more heavily weighted to recent price action. So it's up to you which one you like. I personally like exponential moving average, but a lot of people are looking at the 20 MA on the weekly. So I want to talk about that. So first of all, whichever one you're using right now, Bitcoin is respecting both of them, especially the EMA. We've wicked right off it. Again, that's currently bullish. Yeah, so everything's looking good there. We need to just stay above there. That's really the only thing that I want to look at on the weekly. I'll have a quick look at these indicators here, but let me just see. Okay, so let me just mark this area out on the RSI and let's have a talk about it. So the reason I've marked this area here is, see here, this line, so this is 50, around say 53, 54 RSI, around here acted as support a number of times. Here it was resistance, and here it was resistance as well. So let's match that up with price action and see what happened. So here, where it acted as resistance, we had a pullback. The next level here, we had a pullback. Here, pullback. So I would say that qualifies as a resistance. It was here as well, and then we pulled back. Now let's look at it for support. So here we kind of ranged. So we ranged for a while it bounced off this 54-ish level and then we pushed out, came back to retest, bounced off it again, and then we went a bit parabolic from there. So I think that's important to note, because if you have a look where price is right now, it's right on it. So if we bounce here, then that's going to mean that the 54 RSI on the weekly chart is still acting as support, ever since when? 2018. That's a really long time. So that's one key thing that's looking good. Now the thing is, you got to take into account that this RSI, it hasn't actually bounced yet. Okay, so we can't really call that yet. It needs to actually bounce, do a U-turn, then you can say it's bounced off that 54 level. So it hasn't done it yet, but it's looking like it's worth keeping an eye on. So that's that one. And then I'll take this one off now, because we don't need that anymore. And let me switch on the other EMAs. So let's have a look at all the other EMAs that I like to look at. All right, so we'll get rid of the others. So hang on, they did not come up. That's not the one. There's Sakura, right on time. Why did they not come on? Oh, they are there. Silly me. Okay, so on the weekly, the 10 and 20 is still bullish. And again, we already know that we are bouncing off the 20. So that's positive. And this 80 has acted as support. All positive so far. Doesn't really tell us much now though. So I'm going to go down now to the daily time frame. And here's where we should be able to get into a little bit more intricate detail. So first things first is we do have the bearish cross on the 10 and 20. Now, I have never explained my trading style in that full detail. However, the way that I actually trade crosses is I need to get the break. I don't trade the cross itself. I trade the break down of the support or resistance after the cross. So right here at the time, this here would have been the support. Now, I haven't shorted, and the reason that I haven't is because yes, we broke down, we did do that, but we wicked right back up to close right on it, and ever since then we've just been ranging. So now to me, I'm not really interested in playing ball between these two levels at all, and that might adjust when we go down to a smaller time frame. But between these two levels, even though I have that cross, I'm not really that interested in playing ball. The other thing too is they need to be on a good diagonal for me. So see here, they're on a really good diagonal. That's when you know you have a trend. We currently don't know we have a trend. That's not that much of an angle to me. And it makes sense because Bitcoin is ranging sideways. So those two EMAs are going to move sideways as well. And that just gives us a consolidating market, and I don't play in that. So I don't play in that on a higher time frame. So yeah, not really taking into consideration this just yet. Would need to do more for me to, I don't know, I guess want to sell out to USDT. But let's take this off now and let's have a look at this golden cross that everyone is talking about. Now, what I'm going to do is, so the golden cross is the 50 and the 200 moving average. The EMA, I think it already crossed ages ago, but the moving average is the one that most are watching. And now we talked about it in the past where the bearish cross, some people were fearing, excuse me, some people were fearing that would signal a crazy bear market. However, by the time it crossed, we were already on this candle here. So really all we did was consolidate. And usually the bearish cross doesn't lead to that much more downside. However, the bullish cross is a different story. And the reason for that is because Bitcoin itself has been in a 12-year bull market. And as a trader, you won't believe that. But if you're a long-term investor in Bitcoin, you would absolutely believe that. And the reason that I say that is because anytime Bitcoin has reached an all-time high and then rejected and headed into a multi-year bear market, the next push through that breaks the previous all-time high has never come back to test that all-time high. So if that theory remains, what that means is that the last all-time high we had was 20,000. Bitcoin has now pushed through to 60,000. Wherever we end up, if that theory remains, we should never see 20K Bitcoin again. We have to wait and see. We don't know. But for me, because of that, I was always happy to buy Bitcoin at 20K because I felt we would never come back to that price again. So yeah, we need more time to know that. But when you look at the last bullish cross, golden cross, we crossed here during this consolidation period. And that move, now I don't want to put like unnecessary excitement because, it doesn't mean this is going to repeat. But when you compare this bearish cross here to the bottom at 17%, and then you compare this bullish cross here to that high there, 627%, it's massively different. And so it proves what I was saying before, that Bitcoin has always been in a bull market with massive pullbacks that give you an amazing opportunity to buy. It's never been in a bear market. So here's the thing now is when you go back into, this chart probably won't go back all that way, but when you go back in time, you can do this for yourself. You'll see that obviously there are periods of consolidation where we get false crosses. Now, that's the other thing to point out is this whole period here where it crossed multiple times. How do we know that that's not going to happen here? We don't. But that's exactly why I don't trade crosses and I instead trade the breakout of the support or resistance after. Because in order for it to break out of the support or resistance after the cross, it means that it's picked a trend. It's decided that it's either bullish or bearish. A cross alone doesn't decide that it's bullish or bearish. And I'll tell you why. Because in order for a cross to happen, the big move has to happen because, well, it's a lagging indicator, right? So the move has to happen in order for the indicator to tell us anything. So as you can see here, the bearish cross happened after the big move happened. Now, what will happen when you do get a bearish cross usually, or even a bullish cross, usually is people think, or I shouldn't say people, I'll say people new to the market will think, I got this cross, I'm going to short. And so what always happens after a cross is you have the retest, because think about it logically. Now you know that the move caused the cross. What happens after every move? There's a pullback. So the pullback comes, that retests those EMAs, that's where you take your entry. So even if now you can have a look here where we are. I'm going to just hide these candles so we can see it clearly. We are like so close to the cross. It should be, if Bitcoin continues to range or does head up towards this resistance, we should get that cross in the next 1 to 2 days, I would say, unless Bitcoin makes some crazy move. The thing is the people that will buy when that cross happens will probably get wrecked because the pullback will come. Because we have to realize that we are retail traders, and no matter how we trade, or if we think we've got the best strategy in the world, or we've nailed it, or we've like uncovered something that no one else knows, Whales know everything we know. They just know. So if they know that retail buyers are waiting for this cross, what do you think they're going to do? You know, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to give us false hope by driving it up so that it does cross. Then they're going to smack it back down. Be smarter. Don't ride the first wave. Let them do that. There is always a pullback at some point. So there's definitely don't FOMO in. We need to keep watching this, see how it goes. The other thing too is let's have a look at these if there's anything to note here. Not really. We're in a little bit of conflict. RSI is underneath the 50 and MACD is heading down, but it's still above the zero line. So we're in a bit of conflict on those, which makes sense when you're in consolidation. Nothing to worry about. Is there anything else I want to look at on the daily? Not so much. So I'll turn those ones off now and let's go down and have a look at the 4 hour now. And so in the 4 hour, you can see that we are clearly in a range. Now, something that I did want to point out on the 4 hour, if I switch to line chart, this was a trend line that I was watching last night. Let me just clean that up. Wow, there's lots of comments here. Okay, and then this candle happened, right? Which is like completely crazy. And I thought, okay, I'm not interested in trading this range. But now my mind is changing a little bit now that we've got a bit of new structure. And here's what I want to point out to you is a number of things that could potentially still happen. Well, not a number of things. One thing based on a number of reasons. So first thing I want to show you is this multi-level divergence that we have going on, okay? So that's a bullish divergence. So that's one thing to note right now. Now take that off so we're not confused, but just keep that in mind. We've had three touches there to that divergence. MACD is also looking fairly healthy and bullish. So let's take them out. Now let's just look at this market structure alone. What are you doing? Why is that doing that? Why is that doing that? Escape. Oh, here we go. Okay, so this hasn't played out yet, but I definitely want to keep an eye on it. We've got this little peak here and then this one here. What I need to watch for now is, are we going to come up to this resistance, reject one more time, and then push out from there? Now, the reason that this has piqued my interest, because I didn't plan to trade this week, the reason that this has piqued my interest is because not only will we have an inverted head and shoulders if that happens, but the breakout that needs to happen to get to this resistance here in order for that to play out will break the trend line. And then the retest should create the right shoulder. Wherever that ends up landing, I don't know at this point in time. But this is definitely something that I'm keeping an eye on. Now, depending on where the right shoulder settles, there could be a potential day trade in there just up to resistance. I don't know where your stop will be, but that's just an estimation, right? So there's a potential little day trade in there that could be the beginning of the next push up. Now, that's how I like to day trade. When I'm day trading, I'm looking for 2-to-1 trades, but I like to look for 2-to-1 trades that have the potential to become a 12-to-1 trade. Because if they have a lot of momentum when I'm in the trade and I'm managing it, I'm going to just manage it and let it run. So I always, even if I'm looking for day trades, I'm always looking for trades that have the potential to run. And that's why this has my eye right now. Now it's not ready. It's not ready. And, you know, it might end up doing all of that while we're asleep tonight. But anyway, it doesn't matter. This is the 4-hour chart. So it's going to need a few more for it. Could even be tomorrow that we get the retest. But that's why it sparked my interest. Now, if that does happen and everything plays out, we get our beautiful entry, we get up to resistance, and now it's like, okay, well, I want to manage this. Do I stay in it or take profit? Well, the way that I'm going to manage that is by drawing fibs from the most recent top to the bottom there. And again, remember I explained at the start of this, it's getting dark in here now. I explained to you at the start of this live stream that sellers naturally, short and long people, what are they called? Bulls, naturally take profit at 61.8. So then what does that mean? That means that has to be my target, right? So should this become a trade that runs, well, then my next target's going to be around here somewhere. I'm not going to try to ride it up to here because I would expect a rejection here. So this has the potential, should it play out, to, you know, be potentially 9% in it, depending on where the entry is. So that's how I'm thinking right now. What else is there to note on this? The other thing too is how do I say this? I do think that the rest of this month is not going to be decisive. I do think that. If we get a breakout to the upside, I think it will be short term. The reason for that is because usually around the 23rd to 26th of September, I'll have a lot of alerts going off because I want to trade today. But usually around 23rd to 26th-ish of September, when all those contracts are closing, we usually do see a sell-off. So I can't see September being bullish for the rest of this month, but I can see it having bullish periods, okay? So what does that mean? It means there's plenty of potential for short-term day trades, short and longs. So be looking for both. Don't have your targets way too high that you can't, you know, the trade swings back the other way before you've taken your profit. Just be happy with what you can get in, get out. You can always get back in on retests. That's my advice for Bitcoin, I think, for the rest of this month. Now, what else did I want to look at quickly? I wanted to just take a quick look at Ethereum because Ethereum was showing a much nicer chart, a much easier chart to chart than Bitcoin. This was something I did on my morning scan, so I won't I won't redraw it up. But the moral of the story is there on the screen. We've got this descending triangle. It can easily break out either way. If we break out to the upside, because we've had this huge sell-off. Now, what worries me is if this is the new support here and we break to the upside, I wouldn't feel confident taking longs off support in this particular situation, whereas I normally would. In this particular situation, I don't feel comfortable doing that. And the reason is because when you have a sharp wick like this that you know shoots right up, it shoots into a demand zone and then shoots right up, there's liquidity left behind. And so usually the bears will come back to pick up the rest. We haven't even got close there yet. So just because of that fact, it's too risky to take longs off support if I think that this triangle might break out to the upside. I have to take a more conservative approach if I want to long Ethereum right now. And so my more conservative approach is going to be let it do whatever it's going to do within this triangle. I'm only interested in longing if we break out of this triangle and retest, which creates a higher low. That's where the long opportunity will be for me. And these will be my initial, my initial targets on that. Should that happen. Now, because it's a descending triangle after a big move down, there is also just as much chance, or probably more chance, that it actually will break down and head back to pick up the rest of that liquidity, in which case that will be my target there. And I'll see how it reacts at that point in time. But if we get a bounce off there, that's going to be a beautiful area to buy. It's going to bring Ethereum to just under $3,000, which I think is a great buy if we're lucky enough to get there. So we'll see how that goes. I am always a perma bull, you're right. But the thing is, I want to live off this thing. So why would I want it to dump? Like, the only point of it dumping is to collect more. But I don't want to short this thing into the ground when, I want to live off it for the rest of my life. Doesn't make sense to me. But anyway, so that's that. Now, the other couple that I wanted to quickly look at. Don't forget, guys, if you are watching, I can see that half of you have liked this video, which means the other half don't like what you've been hearing, or you don't know where the like button is. So please smash up that like button. It helps me get this video around the internet. Also, don't forget, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and turn on that bell notification. And don't forget to head to the first link after this video for details of the crypto case competition. Now, I really want to talk to you about DOT. So let's have a look at DOT because it's just crazy. So DOT is one of my all-time favorite coins. DOT is, let's have a look on the daily. I think DOT has a hell of a lot of potential. I started buying into DOT here at $8, around the $8 mark, and I've held on to it this entire time because I think it's got so much potential, and I think it's going to smash through. Definitely, it's going to smash through this $50 level, in my opinion. Of course, the entire bull market needs to continue, but I really, really like it. The reason that I want to look at it is because of everything that has dumped recently, and I'm only talking about the majors. DOT is one of the ones that has recovered the fastest. So from where it dumped, it was here at around, say, $34. We're already above that price. Now, not a lot of other coins are, unless you're talking about, hype coins like probably Luna, and I don't even know. I'd have to have a look at them again. Kusama maybe. But DOT is really looking good. Now, the reason that I want to talk to you about it is because, well, first of all, I have to go back to the daily, sorry. Where we have currently rejected is this supply zone here on the daily. I'm going to try and squeeze that in a little bit on the 4 hour because it's a very wide range. So let's see if we can find the exact candle. Yeah, I'm probably going to say it's this one. I'll include the bottom wick there. So this is the area that we need to break above still. Now if I go back to where we are now. And so the reason that I like it, or the reason that I want to talk about it, is because on a lower time frame, it is potentially, well, it looks like it's breaking out right now, but it was potentially creating an ascending triangle, which was one of my favorite things to trade. And on the 1 hour, we had 1, 2, 3 touches. Now, on the 1 hour, this resistance comes up a bit to about there. The problem with this is that if it does break out from here, you still have this supply zone up here to get through. So that's a bit of a worry. What I would really like to see on DOT at the moment is I'd actually like to see it reject where it is right now. And let me just put this in. I'd actually like to see it reject and come back to this trend line one more time and create a higher low there. If it does, then there's a potential little trade because it will break through at that point to the supply zone, which could then become a runner, because if you then go up the time frames, again, like I said to you before, I only like to trade day trades that I think can turn into something bigger. The target then, if we can get through that supply zone, is back up at around $48. So this has the potential to start out as a day trade but turn into something much bigger. So I really like it, and just wanted to point that one out. The other thing too, so I just want to take one quick look, and these are the last 2 things I'm going to talk about, is, wait, what was it? Solana, very quickly. I just want to take a big look at it. So Solana, this was Elliott Waves that we've been watching for quite some time. I'm not going to go into full detail. The moral of the story is that wick right there did come back right into the area that we predicted would be the wave 4 pullback. So I do think that we'll come back into that zone one more time. We need to reassess and see what happens at that point in time. If we bounce off there and then continue up, then we're looking at 280, anywhere from 280 to 360 Solana, which is huge. So definitely eyes on Solana right now. I know it's had a huge move, but it could potentially only be currently completing wave 4 of an Elliott wave. So definitely one to keep an eye on. And then the last one that I'm going to talk to you about is, what did I say it was? ADA. Let's have a quick look at that. ADA as well, same thing, has, you can see the Elliott waves are on there. So this up to here was wave 1. This is 2. Elliott, the wave 3 hit target to the wick. So it's insane how this works. But now it needs to settle here. So a really close eye on ADA as well. If this does remain support, we're just looking for some bulls to come back in. I don't know why that's there. We'll get rid of that. We're just looking for the bulls to come back in. And then that should take us to wave 5, which is around $4.20 to $4.80 if we're lucky. So those two on a longer term, again, you have to keep in mind, this is providing that the bull market continues, which we do not have that confirmation just yet, right? So this is all a risk, and just need to know that. Now, I'm just going to very, very quickly take you through dominance to explain something very quickly, and then I'll be done. So with the dominance, I just want to keep you guys to keep an eye on something. This break of this support here is what led the first alt run. Okay, this rejection here created the second one. So right now, where we are is literally a double bottom from here to here. And what I personally would like to see is an attempted recovery in dominance, because that's going to help Bitcoin. And what a lot of traders, more crypto traders, wait for is for Bitcoin to make its move, so before they get back into alts. And although I will say it's been a little bit different on this run, but generally that's the rule, right? Because Bitcoin's king, so we need to know where that's going before we can trade anything else. Or I'm sorry, Bitcoin's queen, excuse me. But we need to do that first. So I think it would be good if the dominance did sort of make a bit of a recovery, some sort of an attempt here. But if we break lower, I mean, the lowest we've ever been is down here at 35. That will mean the alts will continue to go for a little bit longer. But I don't think that's alt season. I think we're already in alt season, right? We're already in it. So we need to stop waiting for it, because it's here, okay? It's already here. So this is something to keep an eye on. If we break this level, then we're heading back down to the lows of 2018. That's the lowest we've ever been. But it looks currently like it's trying to bounce. So definitely watching between these two channels and see if we get a breakout of the top one. I think would be really good for the market to continue. Excuse me. And then looking at the total market cap. So total market cap includes Bitcoin as well as all altcoins. We're still currently sitting above 2 trillion, which is great. So if we were heading down, if we had broken this level here, the conclusion that you would draw from that is that people are removing their money from the market. People aren't removing their money from the market. So we're still good. We're still good as long as we stay above 2 trillion total market cap. We're still good. All our job every day is, as traders, is to figure out where are they shifting it to, because they're not removing it. They're just shifting it. And that's what trading is. It's a game of shifting money from this one to that one. And we just have to figure that out. So that looks good. Total 2, same deal. So total 2 is the total market cap excluding Bitcoin excluding Bitcoin, sorry. So this is good. The fact that this is still really quite bullish shows that a lot of the money is in altcoins. People are holding on to their altcoins. They don't want to let go of their altcoins. So that's another very bullish sign. And total 3 excludes Ethereum as well as Bitcoin. And again, that one's holding at a really stable level as well. So if people aren't getting out of their alts, they're not that scared, in my opinion. And all we need to do now is just, I think at this point, we have to wait for confirmation. I would be very careful throughout September. I would really only be looking to short-term trade if at all. Trade both sides of the market is fine. But just be prepared for those swings, because I don't think this is going to be a trending month. I could be wrong. We'll see when we break out of this consolidation. I might reassess then. There's only 2 more weeks left of it. But yeah, if we stay in this consolidating period for another 2 weeks, then I think that would be normal, actually, and then make a decision in October. So that's it. That's all I really have to share with you today. I hope that was helpful. One more time, don't forget, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and don't forget to head over to that first link to be part of the competition. I hope that you'll love to take care of that cough. I know that cough is crazy. I can't even put it down to what it is. I'm investigating a number of different reasons, but when I talk too much, my voice tickles it, and that's why I cough. So that's why some days I'm not on here as often as other weeks, but I'm doing my best. So thank you guys for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope that gave you some clarity, and be safe out there. Remember, just short-term trades for the rest of this month, and let's see how October goes. I'll see you guys again on the next one. Thanks for joining.